A wheel of aged cheese is really just milk that learned how to survive for years. To make it, you do something that sounds insane. You take fresh milk, curdle it on purpose, then let it rot under careful control. That is the strange truth behind how cheese is made, and it hides some of the most interesting facts in your kitchen. So how does a liquid that spoils in days become a wheel that lasts for years? It begins with a simple problem. Milk goes bad fast. Cheese was the ancient answer, a way to lock the goodness of milk into something solid, something that could survive a long winter. And it is wildly concentrated. It takes around 10 liters of milk to make a single kilo of hard cheese. Picture 10 big cartons poured in and 1 block coming out. Cheese is milk with almost all the water squeezed away. The first thing added to that milk is life, living bacteria. They feed on the natural sugar in milk and turn it sour, dropping tiny amounts of acid into the vat. This is the same souring that ruins milk, but here it is invited in and controlled. Then comes the strangest ingredient of all, a substance that turns liquid into solid in minutes. It is called rennet, and traditionally it came from a truly unexpected place, the stomach lining of a young calf. Inside that stomach sits an enzyme built to curdle milk, so a nursing calf can digest it. People learn to take that enzyme and drop it into a whole vat. The old story goes that cheese was discovered by accident. Milk carried in a pouch made from a stomach, curdling on a hot journey. Whatever the truth, the effect is real and fast. The enzyme attacks the proteins floating in the milk. Those proteins let go of the water and clump together, knitting into a soft, wobbling solid. In minutes, a whole vat of milk sets like a fragile jelly. Now the milk has split into two, soft white curd and a thin greenish liquid called whey. And here the cheesemaker makes one quiet decision that changes everything. They cut the curd, and the size of that cut decides the future of the cheese. Cut it into large, gentle pieces, and it holds lots of water, staying soft and young. Cut it into tiny grains, and more whey escapes, setting the path to a hard, aged wheel. One movement of the knife, 2 completely different cheeses. Some curds take a wilder path still. They are dropped into hot water and stretched like taffy, pulled and folded until they turn glossy and elastic. That stretch is what gives mozzarella tulle its pull, and string cheese its strings. I always find myself curious where this is playing right now. A kitchen in France, where they say there is a cheese for every day of the year. A home in Mexico, a flat in Japan. So tell me which country you are hearing this in today. Not the city, the country. Now, back to the vat. The cut curds are often gently heated and stirred. More whey weeps out with the warmth. The little grains firm up, shrinking and tightening in the vat. For some cheeses, like cheddar, the curd is piled into slabs and stacked by hand. They are turned and restacked, pressing out even more liquid under their own weight. And all that drained whey is not thrown away. Reheat it, and more hidden protein floats to the surface as a soft, fresh cheese. That is ricotta, a name that means recouped. The same whey is dried into the protein powder athletes stir into their shakes. Then the curds are salted and packed into molds. Salt is not just for flavor. It pulls out water and holds back the wrong microbes, guarding the young cheese while its real character is still forming. The molds are pressed hard, sometimes for a full day, squeezing the loose curds into one solid, seamless shape. A wheel is born. But a fresh wheel is bland and squeaky, nothing special yet. So would you rather eat it now, young and mild, or wait years for it to transform? One word, young or aged. Write it below. Because the real magic is not in the making, it is in the waiting. The wheels are moved into cool, damp cellars, and there they are left to change for weeks, months, sometimes many years. Some rest in cool caves, on old wooden boards, and they are not simply forgotten there. Skilled hands turn them, brush them, and wash their rinds for months, nursing each wheel toward its peak. A wheel even shrinks as it waits. Water keeps escaping through the rind, so the cheese grows harder, drier, and richer with every month. What you buy is a fraction of what went in. Inside, the bacteria and enzymes never stop working. Slowly, patiently, they take the bland young cheese apart and rebuild it into something deep and complex. They also quietly eat away the milk sugar that so many people cannot digest. In a long-aged wheel, almost none of it is left. It is why some who struggle with fresh milk can still enjoy an old, hard cheese. And on the outside, whole living worlds move in. That soft white fuzz on a brie is a mold, grown on purpose, ripening the cheese from the outside in. The sticky orange rind on some Stinky cheeses is even stranger. It is grown by a specific bacterium. And here is the part that will change how you smell a cheese board. That same bacterium is one of the microbes that live on human skin and give sweaty feet their smell. The reason some cheeses smell like a locker room is not an accident. It is the very same source. The surprises keep hiding inside the wheel, too. Think of the holes in Swiss cheese. Those big round eyes are not cut or poured in. They are bubbles. A special bacterium releases gases as it feeds, and the gas pushes open holes inside the firm cheese, like slow bubbles frozen in place. Blue cheese is bolder still. The blue veins are mold, deliberately grown inside. To feed it, the maker stabs the wheel with dozens of metal needles. Air rushes down the tunnels, and the mold blooms along them, painting those blue-green rivers through the cheese. Now for the single strangest thing of all. Bite into a well-aged cheese and you often feel it. Tiny, crunchy specks. Most people think it is grit or leftover salt. It is neither. Those crystals are the cheese itself, slowly crystallizing from within. As the proteins break down, over years they release building blocks that gather into hard little crystals. So that crunch in a chunk of aged cheese is a clock. The crystals only form with time. When you feel them, you are literally tasting the age of the cheese. You are chewing on years. So step back and look at the paradox in the whole thing. Everything we normally fear in milk, we chase in cheese: souring, curdling, mold, bacteria, the reek of decay. Spoilage is the enemy of milk, but guided by human hands, that same spoilage becomes the most prized food on the table. And we have prized it almost beyond reason. Giant wheels of aged Italian cheese are so valuable and so reliable that certain banks accept them as loan collateral. They sit in guarded vaults, aging on wooden shelves, worth so much they are stored like bars of gold. The milk itself hides one last secret. The very protein that clumps into curd can be turned into a hard plastic. Long ago, it was molded into buttons and beads and jewelry, solid objects made from the same stuff as the cheese on your plate. So look at the impossible journey in one bite. Milk that would have spoiled in days, curdled by an enzyme from a stomach, cut by a knife that decides its fate, ripened by mold, bacteria, and time until it crystallizes from the inside. All of it just to keep the richness of milk alive for years. I still cannot get over one of these, that the crunch in old cheese is really the taste of passing time. Which fact surprised you the most?